the person that we have on the podcast is somebody that I've heard a lot of amazing things about.
Oh, legend in the industry.
Yeah, Eve Pappas, who is the Vice President of Business Development Growth at Hoffman's Exterminating in Southern New Jersey. Eve has been with Hoffman's for almost 10 years now, but has decades of experience in the pest control industry spanning over 40 years. Eve is also an advocate for supporting and empowering women in pest control. Welcome to the Bug Bux Podcast, a podcast designed to turn you into a bug money millionaire. This episode is brought to you by Bug Bux Plus, the #1 education and training platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. I'm your host, Eric Bassett, and right next to me in the Vancouver Bug Bux Plus studio, my co-host Jake Claus. What's up, dude?
What's up, Eric? What's up, my Bug Buxers? And Eric, welcome back.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel so sad whenever we record a podcast episode and we're 300 miles
Right?
apart.
I feel like this is a high five moment.
This is a high five moment.
Yeah.
In person, high five.
Yep.
Okay, dude. So speaking of the studio,
Okay.
we've had a couple of different versions of this. A lot of the people that watch on YouTube have seen our studio evolve
Sure.
over the years.
Yeah.
What is your favorite element of our studio right now? What would you say?
Okay, this is a small thing, but you know what? I'm a it's the simple things kind of guy.
Uh-huh.
You know, I really love this green light down here at the bottom that casts kind of this green glow up the back of the
Yes.
of the backstop or whatever this thing's called.
Yeah. The backdrop. Yeah.
Backdrop.
Well, and
Yeah.
if you guys came and saw us at Pest World, you know that this backdrop that we have right behind us is real. We don't have any.
It looks green screen.
Yeah, it does. It does look green screen.
Yeah.
We don't have a green screen. All the stuff that you see right here is legitimate. It's tangible, right?
Yep.
So we've got the lighting right here. We've got
Yeah.
the backdrop. We've got some lights in front of us, it's been really cool.
And here's the other thing you can't see is that off to the side here, we have a Natura pest control backdrop that we use for recording Natura content.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. We don't use the fancy cameras and stuff. I just use my cell phone to record that.
Oh yeah.
I
Yep.
think doesn't Instagram have an algorithm where if it's recorded on a cell phone, it gets put in the front?
The magical algorithms.
I don't
Yeah,
understand
can't
how it all
handle
works. That's why we have a marketing company.
Exactly.
A marketing company ran by 20-year-olds.
Perfect. That's
Yep.
exactly what you want.
Yep.
If you guys watching and listening, if you have some feedback on our studio or if there's some elements that you think would be really beneficial for us and for you as viewers, please let us know. It'd be great to make some improvements.
I'll just say this in advance. Eric and I, we will not do a shirtless episode
despite the high demand.
the high demand. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep.
That's fair. Yeah.
Shirts on.
Yeah. Give us a few more months to really get things dialed in, and then we might think
Right.
about it.
Yeah,
There you
for
go.
sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, before we get dialed in and start going here, just want to remind everybody listening, the best way to receive new episodes is by subscribing to our show on your preferred podcast platform like Apple, YouTube, Audible, or Spotify. If you love the show, please leave us a rating and a review. Make sure to check out our Facebook group, Bug Bux Plus. That is BUGBUX Plus. We have the owners only group that has over 4,800 other pest control owners waiting to connect with you and share their thoughts. There's also the Bug Bux Pest Pros group for non-owner team members, designed to help them develop in their roles. Joining the groups is the best way to connect with us, share your feedback on our show, and have your questions highlighted and discussed here on the podcast. So make sure you find us on Facebook and join one of those groups. All right, dude. So the person that we have on the podcast is somebody that I've heard a lot of amazing things about.
Oh, legend in the industry.
Yeah, tons of experience, super, super excited. And, we've been talking a little bit back and forth before this podcast episode and just so many good things that we're happy to share on the podcast.
Oh, totally.
So
Yep.
it's going to be great. I'm going to do a little bit of a rap sheet introduction here. Without further ado, the guest that we have on our podcast today is Eve Pappas, who is the Vice President of Business Development Growth at Hoffman's Exterminating in Southern New Jersey. Eve has been with Hoffman's for almost 10 years now, but has decades of experience in the pest control industry spanning over 40 years. Eve's mission has been to inspire young professionals to believe in themselves and never take no for an answer. In February 1981, she started as a residential sales representative at Orkin in Pennsauken. Is that right?
You know what?
Pennsauken, New
Yeah,
Jersey?
Pennsauken. Yeah, let's go with that.
And held various leadership positions: regional sales/service manager, area sales manager, operations manager, branch manager, and branch residential service manager for the East Coast and the Midwest. In 2008, Pappas wrote a letter to Rollins CEO Gary Rollins informing him of her retirement, but was nowhere near finished with helping other PMPs learn the business and people side of pest control. She joined New Jersey-based Viking Pest Control as a Southern Regional Manager, helping the company grow from 12 million to 20 million. In 2013, she took a turn for the supplier side of the industry and went to work for a mattress liner manufacturer, Allergy Technologies, where she sold Active Guard mattress liners nationwide. In 2016, Eve joined Hoffman's Exterminating and is the company's community spokesperson. She serves on countless committees, industry and non-industry related associations. Eve is also an advocate for supporting and empowering women in pest control. When not at work, she enjoys coaching and working within the community. She enjoys golfing, attending sporting events, especially Philadelphia Eagles games. Shout out, Super Bowl
Eagles.
champions.
Go
Over the
Eagles.
Chiefs. That's amazing. She also enjoys traveling, investing in business opportunities, volunteering at election polls, and providing pet therapy at Caring Hospice. Wow. Eve, welcome to the Bug Bux Podcast. How are you?
Awesome. With that Eagles win as the champions, it was great yesterday.
I bet, right? Living on
Had to
cloud
get that
nine.
in there, you know?
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
Credit where credit is due.
Well, you know what? I think the credit actually goes to Taylor Swift cursing
Her deal with the
Chiefs.
devil.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously, there you go.
So it just left a gap wide open for the Eagles to swoop in,
Yep.
take the win.
Yeah, and a little. I mean, I'm a Boise State fan. Me and Jake are both from the Boise area, and Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator for the Eagles.
Is he?
Yeah,
Dude,
Yep.
our guy Kellen Moore?
Yeah, Kellen Moore.
All right,
the
our Statue
winningest
of
quarterback
Liberty.
in college football history.
Yeah.
Statue of Liberty guy.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, well, I guess that the original Statue of Liberty is Jared Zabransky, but we don't have to go into semantics.
Right.
But
Yeah.
So I enjoyed watching the Eagles play. I enjoyed seeing them kind of get back to the Super Bowl and execute on all the things that they've been developing and win.
Did I ever tell you? Sorry, this is just an aside. Did I ever tell you that when I was selling pest control door to door in 2009 in Boise, I knocked on Kellen Moore's door?
What? No,
Yeah.
you did
I
not.
never told you that?
No.
Yeah, I knocked on his door and was like, "Oh, hey, Kellen Moore," and he's like, "What's up, dude?" He was like there with his girlfriend. They didn't buy from me, but I did knock on his door.
Kellen Moore, obviously, I know you're listening to the podcast.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
he's a longtime fan.
Come on.
Yeah.
So, well, again, Eve, congratulations on the Philadelphia win. I'm sure you guys have been super excited about that.
We are, because we're Eagles partners. So we're getting ready for the parade this Friday. Can't wait.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. So where's that going to take place? The parade.
It's going to be downtown off Broad Street in Philadelphia.
Oh wow. Okay. Man,
That's
that's
gonna
like
be sweet.
right there, right in the heart of the action.
Killer.
Absolutely.
Eve, I'm
And
going to have
Bill
to...
told- I said, Bill told me today that Hoffman's name is going to be on the bus that's carrying the players as well as throughout the city. So this is a pretty exciting time for our family business. So we're really excited about it.
Oh my gosh, that's big time.
Yeah,
Big
It
time.
is big time.
I mean, when you do a sporting, endorsement, sponsorship, anything like that, like obviously you're going to have your brand viewed
Yep.
by tons of people. But I mean, having your team win the Super Bowl and then, having your brand be in a, Super Bowl postseason win parade. I mean, come on, it doesn't
Yeah.
get better than that.
Well, actually, Natura did have a banner on a little league outfield fence. So I mean,
It's pretty close. I mean,
yeah,
come
I
on.
mean, yeah, Eagles, little league. I don't know. No, but that's seriously cool. That is so cool. What a big win for Hoffman's.
Yep.
Man, that is
Yeah,
cool.
huge
And
one.
Eve, kind of rewinding a little bit, I mean, obviously you have a huge rap sheet, lots of experience. Who got you into pest control in the beginning? How did the pest control industry find you?
Well, I think I found them. I was in college and I was working for the Philadelphia 76ers selling advertisement. And I really liked the people part about it. It's like you're going out and you're meeting people. You're asking for a couple $1,000s to put an ad in and you're giving them like 40 tickets to take their people to a game. I said, man, this is really cool. So I was looking at different sales positions and Rollins Orkin came up and I said, God, I'm going to go try this and see what this is about. So I went ahead I went in for the interview, and the next thing you know, I'm a residential salesperson. And, once it gets in your blood, like you can't get
Yep.
rid of it. It just keeps growing and growing.
What did the sales position, because now it's like a lot of door to door and there's digital marketing and all that
Hmm.
stuff. What did the sales position look like for a pest control residential salesperson in 1981? 1981, am I correct on the year? If,
No, 1981 is correct. Well,
okay.
I was more on like I said, the residential side. So a lot of it was telemarketing calls. A lot of it was like you went to one of our existing customers and you either offer them, if they had pest control, you offered them termite control on their house. You asked them for referrals. If you really like our service and you like the things that we've been doing, can you give me 2 or 3 names that I could go ahead and share this awesome service that you're having with your friends? And then if one of your friends buys our service, we'll give you a $25, credit towards your next service. And back then, $25 is what you were paying for your monthly service. So yeah,
Wow.
that was kind of how it was. It was really neat, and it was a lot of fun. And you would also receive leads that would come in over the phone. And working for a Fortune 500 company, there was a lot of leads because Orkin is a well-named brand company.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, and it's funny how many things are just like they transcend time, like we've had episodes on the podcast where we're like, hey, get referrals and work your existing customer base and all these other elements that you're talking about from 1981 that are still good business practices today,
Yeah.
right? So I think that that's just a really, really cool element. Eve, well, when did you know that the pest control industry was going to provide you with more of a long-term career? When did that situation occur to you?
Well, Eric, that's a great question. It was the gentleman who interviewed me, and his name was Jim Rossi back in the day. And I told him, I said, you have 2 years to get me to be sitting in your seat. If that doesn't happen, I'm gonna find another job. I
I'm
said
out.
because I felt that I was a leader, and I had an awesome dad who taught me a lot about people. And your employees are the most important thing to you, and that comes first. And then that's how you can take care of your customers. So I was a Girl Scout when I was a little kid, so I sold the most Girl Scout cookies. So I knew that I
You
could
knew
do
sales.
almost anything. Yeah, exactly. So
Wow.
so it just so happened that that's kind of how it happened.
Well, so I mean, we're talking 1981. I was 6 months old in February 1981, and I
Oh
was
my
conceived
goodness.
in the 70s. By the way, I will throw that out
Oh,
there.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
probably had something to do with the Halloween party because that's around the time. So I don't know, but it was 1979. But I'm 6 months old. I'm trying to think back. I think doctors were still smoking. In the
Not
patient,
washing their hands.
right? Not washing their hands. Rubber gloves were like a luxury. So I'm imagining that in 1981, there's not a lot of women in pest control. What was your experience? Were you kind of an anomaly, or was that pretty typical to see women in this industry?
Well, there was not very many women, except for the ladies that were in the front office as customer service reps. Where they would be taking the
Answering the
phone
phone.
calls, collecting money, scheduling the service, making sure the routes are getting done. So I was, you know, just a tiny handful compared to this is a man's business. So and I knew that if I had great people around me to help me um, do whatever it is that I wanted to do, then I would be successful at what it was. And there was quite a few men that wanted to help me, which made it nice. And one of which is Wayne Golden out of King of Prussia, New Jersey, who is retired. And
Hmm.
he was the one that gave me my first shot at actually running an operation. So it was really neat. At that time, it was a commercial branch that they were opening up in Philadelphia, New Jersey area that would service only the commercial pest control. And I had the opportunity in 1981. Um, to go to 1988 to open that branch. So in that 7-year span, I had the opportunity to grow in many ways by other people helping me along the way.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it's been really interesting, in our experience. And I think in a lot of experiences with more blue collar industries, sometimes women aren't sure of the role that they're going to play within that company. Me and Jake spent a lot of time in the door to door industry. And most of the door to door salesmen, it was the same kind of thing. 9 out of every 10, or even probably like 19 out of 20 door to door sales guys you see are guys.
Right.
And it was interesting seeing some girls come into the industry, and there were ways that they could execute on things at the door with customers, with clients, that guys just had a tough time with.
Yeah.
And so you start to see this advantage, this element that women have. And I don't like to always go out into the gender role aspect of things. But, in your experience over the years, and you have been trying to empower women and show them the opportunities that they have within the pest control industry, which can be very powerful. I wanted to see your kind of take on what makes women special in the pest control industry. What about them? What can they do? And why is the pest control industry a good opportunity for them?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question.
That's an awesome question. Well, I personally think that women have an intuitiveness that they can understand how another woman feels about protecting their biggest investments, such as their house, protecting their children. You don't want to have, fleas in your house. You want to make sure that somebody that's knowledgeable and trained is going to come in and help you. And then, I think that women have a kinder, gentler way to go ahead and show care and concern. And to me, that's really important. When I interview people today and then in the past, I would always ask somebody, tell me of a time when you actually did charitable contribution work for anything that you did when you were younger or older, because that just shows me that that person really cares. And that's the kind of people that I want on our team, that they can genuinely understand how the customer really feels and deliver the quality of service of protected people, property, and food. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah. You know what? I totally see that. I mean, like Eric said, we've had female sales reps on our sales teams before. And when I've gone out and worked with them, there's one element that you always see, and it's that having a female or a woman talk to you is way more disarming than a guy. And my wife has been in the pest control industry. I mean, she's been with me through my whole journey, and that she's been an owner of Natura Pest Control for 11 years or more. And when people talk to Jana, all of a sudden it's like 5 minutes in, and they're like scratching their heads like, I don't know, why am I telling you my entire life story?
Yes.
Why am I telling you all of my deepest, darkest things that I'd never tell anybody? And well, it's because like you're saying, she listens, she cares, and I feel like that's something that us guys we kind of miss that sometimes. It's like, get to the point, get to the end result. Let's run this thing into the end zone. And whereas women, it's the journey, right? It's the journey in the conversation.
Yeah,
So,
I think the capacity for women's capacity for empathy and validation and listening, like active listening and engagement, just naturally is at a different level.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time teaching our inside sales staff and our customer service staff the rules about communication and what works best, and I never get tired of teaching that kind of scenario with women, because they just get it, they naturally understand, right?
Yeah.
And they engage in those elements really, really well. And when you have a female that, you name the position, right? Customer service, sales, technician, management, executive level directors, anything else. What makes people really feel engaged in a company is whether or not they're listened to, whether or not they're appreciated, whether or not they're validated. And I'll also say that, women have a knack for organizational
Oh, yeah.
development.
Yeah.
I mean, they're sharp, right? And there's probably a lot of guys out there. You guys are great. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You guys are cool too. But to Eve's point here, I just think that there is really great opportunities within the pest control industry for women. And I've met a lot of amazing women in the pest control industry.
Oh, yeah.
My sister, Jake's wife,
Yep.
is one of them. And obviously Eve right here is another one. And having more influential women to kind of empower the next generation, I think, is going to be huge.
Yeah. Eve, what have you seen? Because you're involved with professional women in pest management, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So what's your role been there, and what kind of impact have you been able to see being made with that organization?
It's really been huge. I mean, when I started in 81, and then National Pest Management started the Women in Pest Management, I believe it was in the early 90s, there was just a handful of us at a table. I mean, you'd be lucky if there was 6 of us. And then the Women in Pest Management nationally has really grown from, that little group with Judy Dole out of Illinois, her and her husband Bob, their company Rose Pest Control.
Bob Dole?
Yes, Bob Dole, the senator's father and mother, has Rose Pest Control out of Illinois. I'm originally from Illinois. I moved to the East Coast in 75. Yeah.
So this is the actual Bob Dole you're talking about.
Yes, the actual Bob Dole. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And his mom,
That's
his mom and his dad, just fabulous people. And
Wow.
and we went from just having a handful to last year's meeting that we had in Atlanta, Georgia. We had over 400 women there, and I said, my goal and our goal should be to have 1,000 women at this meeting every time plus, because this is where relationships are built with other women across the United States. And then what we've done is we've taken it to local chapters in the states. And so what I did was I started one in New Jersey, Delaware, and PA, because it's kind of close to each other, like a 75-mile radius. And now I've passed the baton off to Kendra Schneider, who her and her husband own Quest Pest Control, and she's kind of now spearheading that, and I'm there to help out. So we've had our own women's forum for the last 3 years. This will be our 4th year, where we're giving ticks and trips on women, understanding the communications and how to go ahead and handle customer service problems and issues. And then the younger women can be with us seasoned veterans to kind of learn, because I never thought I would be where I am today when I started back in 1981. I mean, I knew I was going to do great things, but I didn't know that it was going to be on this huge of a scale. And it's just great watching more women grow.
We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the Bug Bux Plus platform. Are you running a pest control business and worried about missing sales opportunities? Let's talk about Same Day AI, the game-changing virtual sales agent designed specifically for the pest control industry. This innovative tool uses advanced artificial intelligence to ensure no potential customer slips through the cracks. What's really impressive about Same Day AI is how it integrates seamlessly with field routes and other top CRMs. It doesn't just quote, it schedules new customers directly onto your routes, optimizing your workload without missing a beat. I've seen it in action, and it is truly a sight to behold. The efficiency is incredible. Bookings go up and stress goes down. For any pest control business looking to enhance their sales strategy and boost customer engagement, Same Day AI is your answer. Transform your approach and elevate your service with the efficiency that only AI can provide. Trust me, you'll see the difference. Visit GoSameDay.com to learn more and start revolutionizing your business today. We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the Bug Bux Plus platform. Are you a pest control operator that's paying for inbound leads for services that you don't offer or are outside your service area? How would you like to be able to get paid for referring those leads to other companies, all while getting high-quality referrals in return? If you're getting calls for jobs you can't take on, Baton has you covered. With Baton, you can easily refer those callers to other trusted companies and get paid for it. It's super simple. Just create your profile to show what services you offer and where, then start referring leads to more than 500 of Baton's vetted partners, all while getting exclusive, high-converting leads referred back to you in return. Every referral you submit not only gets you paid, but also increases your chances of getting referrals from other companies. And don't worry, every Baton partner pledges not to steal or poach your existing customers in need of other services that you don't provide. With Baton handling the transaction, you can know that customers you refer are in good hands. For Bug Bux Plus subscribers, there are no onboarding or membership fees. Plus, you can get up to $400 in free referral credits just for being a subscriber to the Bug Bux Plus platform. Give referrals, and get paid. Join Baton today. Go to bugbuxplus.com/Baton to get started. Now back to the Bug Bux Podcast.
Did you see, when you started in pest control, did you see it as a career or just as like a stepping stone?
After I was there about a year, I knew that I was going to be there to the day I retired. It was just something in taking care of people. I love people, whether it's our internal people, which is our team, or our external, which is our customers. I just love to make a difference in other people's lives. And that's why I decided to make it my life story, I guess.
Wow.
You know, Eve, in the rap sheet, we talked about, your ability to go in to companies and help evaluate performance and help increase performance. We talked about Viking Pest Control as part of the rap sheet when you took it from 12 million to 20 million.
Yeah.
And, a lot of our listeners, some of them are talking about, okay, how do I get my company from 500,000 to $1 million? Some of them are, how do I get from the 3 million range to the 5 million range? Because the narrative there is that when you grow and build and scale your company, the next level that you get to, you're not managing your company the same way as when you got to the level before that, right? You're making changes, you're making adjustments. What are some of the elements that you incorporated? What were some of your philosophies when you went in and started evaluating the performance of Viking? And what have you taken away from those experiences to some of the companies that you help and evaluate today?
Well, to answer that question, which is another awesome question, is that you have to meet people where they are. Okay? Sounds kind of crazy, but that's part of coaching. It's like you have to meet the person where they are and find out where they want to go. And the questions that you ask them is kind of like sales questions, open-ended questions, because you want them to get to open up, share their ideas, and then you help them step by step to get to where it is. So you can't you can't do this by yourself. You have to do this with others in order to be successful. And you have to decide, okay, are you going to do it, you and your team inside, or are you going to go do some M&As, some mergers and acquisitions? It's like, are you going to do it organically, or are you going to go buy some other companies to tuck them into your businesses to make that happen? And, that's kind of what Bill and I did back when I started with Hoffman's in 2016, was to say, okay, Billy, we only have one salesperson or two sales per people. Is that really what is going to get us to be a $25 million company? No. So by having these M&As is like having a shot in the arm. You're getting a little medicine and away you go. And before you know it, your company starts to explode. And that's pretty much, what we did here at Hoffman's, is that we had, 12 technicians in 2016. Now we got over 50, and
Wow.
it's all about doing the mergers and acquisitions. It's about growing organically because there's some years that we didn't do anything. And, and when you're adding customers at 1 million or 1.5 million at a clip, I mean, that's a good shot. And then if you're doing 70% of that's reoccurring revenue year in and year out, for your customers, it's just a great way to build your business up.
Wow. Yeah, me and Jake are looking at each other like, oh, that sounds great.
Okay,
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. How do I sign up for that program?
I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, and the next part of Eve's rap sheet is going to be in 2025. Eve joined Natura Pest Control in Vancouver, Washington, and grew the company to $25 million company.
I think that everybody obviously is invigorated and they're empowered by the idea of this big growth, and you guys started really picking up the pace and, taking the company from, like you said, I think it was the 16 technicians to having 50 technicians.
50, yeah.
What kind of systems and processes did you implement, especially with the relationships of your people, to be able to sustain that kind of growth?
Did it feel like a tidal wave?
Yeah.
Rolling in and you had to kind of...
Yeah,
what was that like?
Yes, especially some years where we did 1, 2, or 3 of these. Some can be small and some can be big. You're thinking about, oh my gosh, I got this data entry, or they're not on the same pest pack that we're on. So, so what kind of form, CRM are they using, if they're using one? Because some of these guys were older than me, so it was just
paper files,
little index cards. Yeah. So it's like you're saying, how do I incorporate that in? So yeah, it's like, when you're having another family business go into your business, there's a lot of steps that you have to do. You got to worry about the social media stuff. You got to worry about the phones. You got to worry about your web page. You got to make sure nobody's stealing your domain. There's just, so we create a little checklist that we follow. And then, then the biggest thing is the data entry of putting the customers in, and you're doing a letter to let them know that this family is joining our family and we're going to be taking care of you. And the employees come with it. So, you got to see if
you're
they're
merging the technicians. You're just retaining the technicians and merging them in.
The technicians, or some of them were like, we did Delcy out of Exterminating, and Joe and I used to play golf years ago, and Joe passed away, and his wife was still working in the business. So, she comes to the business too, and it's a lot of moving parts, but this is where you have to have compassion and understanding, and like we did this one deal, and Bill said to, Jim, who was the owner, Eve is going to be here for 90 days, which means I'm going to be there to hold their hand, working with their people and doing the things that we're, getting them to do things the Hoffman way. And they never completed $100,000 in revenue in 1 month. And I tell you, every day we had the bells and whistles going, and we had the boards with the numbers and everybody all excited. And at the end of the week, I'd go up to Dairy Queen and buy all this ice cream and stick it in the freezer so when they came back, they'd have ice cream. And, it's just like little fun games.
Oh, man.
And if you communicate to your people and you show them what they're doing, it's amazing how much buy-in you get when they're really a part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it, I think for everybody listening, and for us too, at some point within your pest control growth journey, you get bit by the M&A bug. You think about acquisitions, and you're like, man, that'd be so great if I could just execute on buying a couple of small mom and pop companies and start acquiring additional customers and staff. And you guys have done this a number of different times. What would you attribute to the success of finding these companies? Was it the outreach? Was it the relationships that you built over time? Was it your involvement with some of these other state associations? What do you think was the biggest determining factor when it came to building your lead sheet for these companies that you guys acquired?
Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing is our involvement in the pest control industry, both local and national. Okay?
Hmm.
It's and building the trust, our distributors and our manufacturers, they have different meetings all the time. So it's important to go to some of those meetings or even talk on a topic for some of those because it gets people aware of who you are and how much you really care about the industry. And when people see that, they really, like I said, they want to be a part of this and they want to make sure that they're not so much selling this to the larger companies because they want it to be like a family feel. And I think that's what we've created, or I know that's what we created at Hoffman's, is that people want to come work for us because of all the community involvement that we do outside our industry with the Philadelphia Eagles, with the partnerships that we have with the Flyers, with the Philadelphia Union soccer team, with Reading Terminal, with the Ronald McDonald House, Habitat for Humanity. We even ask our employees to please go ahead and show us or tell us what it is that is important to you, that we can go ahead and help support you with the drives that you would like to do. And so one
So
of our
you have
CSRs.
Hoffman's. Oh, sorry. So Hoffman's is involved in all of those,
Yes, we are.
service projects, community projects.
Yes,
Wow.
we are. Because Bill wants to have a family business, which are pretty much all houses, to have the family feel for the community. And like this June, our manager for our Mantua office, which so happens to be Jody Gallagher, who's Bill's niece, and I've been mentoring and helping her along the way, and she received an Impact Award last year from the Women in Pest Management. She's getting a proclamation from the mayor of Mantua for their community outreach for breast cancer and how our teams all came together with this walk run that they had. I am so proud of her. Like, you just don't know how much that means to the community, but it means a lot to me because I've spent time with Jody and she's just blossomed into this beautiful person that she is. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great. And there's so much involvement and so much benefit, I think, and value from getting involved in all these other aspects of it.
Yeah. Oh,
we've
totally.
we've talked about this in other episodes where you think about your legacy. What are you leaving behind? And obviously, when you build a company, you have the ability to impact your employees and their lives and their families. And obviously the benefit of the customers that you serve as well. But I really do think that the next level above that is the impact that you have on your community.
Oh, yeah.
If you do things right, you have a little bit of extra resources, that you can square away, and then you can return the favor back into your community. And not that it needs to be this way, but a lot of times the community eventually returns the favor back to you.
Right.
And it becomes this reciprocal, mutually beneficial situation that you have between you and your community. And then your legacy goes so much deeper than just being an entrepreneur, a business giant. It transcends that and goes into being somebody who had a tangible positive impact on the community that you serve, which is just so huge.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. So Hoffman's is involved in all of these community outreach things with Ronald McDonald House and breast cancer awareness and all these other things. Do you kind of keep all that to yourself and just let the word get out about it, or do you have social content and do you put that work that you're doing out in front of the community so that people can see the good that you're doing?
We do that. We let our customers know because they want to be involved in it. Like this, I think May, we're going to be pulling an airplane for the Ronald McDonald House. Last year, our team raised the most amount of money for the house based on all the businesses that were involved. And we're just a little family business. We only have 100 employees. It's not a lot. But the greatest thing is that They all really get engaged. They volunteer their time at the house to cook dinner, for the people that are staying at the Ronald McDonald House. Habitat for Humanity. I've taught some of the folks that were buying the houses, how to make up a budget, what to do, because it's just so much more. It's their first time home buyers. So we would put a Centricon baiting system around their house for termites because it's their biggest investment they're ever going to make in their life. That's important to them. It's just working together as a team and taking care of the community. And that's what I love about Bill the most, is because he cares about people as much as I do.
I think it's really important, if you think about it, that you let your customer base know that you are involved in some of these efforts. Because if I was a customer of any organization and they sent me a letter and said, hey, just want to let you know, these are the nonprofit things that we're involved in. These are the community, outreach services that we're doing. And, some of the money that you pay us is going to these things. Like, some of your dollars are paying for this type of research, or to help this type of.
Or if you want to help out, you can donate your time, or you can donate, your funds or other resources to these.
Yeah. You open things up and you give them the opportunity to serve and be part of it. Eve, how do you guys go about getting your employees involved in that kind of vision? What's the conversation like, and what kind of response have you guys had from it?
Well, a lot of it is like when you Eric, you sit down and you have a conversation, and you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you, because they want to work for a company that does what we do in the community. And, on social media, if you go to Hoffman's Exterminating, you'll see all the stuff. We do about 250, 300 events a year, okay? And we have 6 offices, and it starts with the manager all the way down. And, like I spearhead all the women's events that are out there with the chambers, with the women in pest management, and I try to be the face of the company for those things, because it's important that we're involved in these community things. And then the branches are very involved in it. And people, like I said, we want people that want to give back. That's what God wants us to do. He wants us to share things with others. It's not about me. It's not about the company. It's about them, you. That's what makes the difference, and that's why we do what we do. I started a nonprofit in 2015 with Janice Campbell called Tri-State Canine Response Team, and we've been on over 26 national events that have happened for the bad. One was the Mary's Fund with the clinical psychologists. Our first one was Pulse Night Club, and the last one we just did most recently was down in New Orleans on New Year's Day. So we're also crisis counselors. 26 of us have taken over 27 hours of training. And what greater way to do a training with somebody to have a dog on the end of a leash? People open up like there's no tomorrow. So it's great. And we just started this in 2015. We're having our 10th year celebration. And, it's just great just taking care of people, That's all I can tell you. I just love it.
Eve, I'm sitting here like literally scratching my head, wondering how do you do it all?
Yeah.
Is there a secret clone? There's an Eve Pappas clone that you just send your little army of Eves out there to do all the work. How do you do it?
Well, I think if you tell your story and people know how passionate you are about serving others, there's a lot of people that jump on the bandwagon right there to be with you, roll up your sleeves. Like, the Ronald McDonald Telethon. We actually have our suppliers and vendors that want to be a part of what we started. How cool is that?
Wow, that is
Other
awesome.
than just buying something from somebody. No, we got a relationship with them where, they want to be a part of it. They want to see what we're doing. So that's really a really neat thing to do. We just had our kickoff meeting for all our employees. And, we get sponsorships from our vendors and suppliers. But more importantly, they get to come for the day and be a part of this event. Like that Friday, not last Friday, but the Friday before, we had the Eagles band that came and played the Fly Eagle Fly song, and then we
Oh,
had
you mean like
Ben.
the football team?
Yeah, like the Philadelphia
Yeah.
Their marching band, not like the Eagles.
Yeah,
The
no,
Eagles.
yeah, not like the Eagles.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, all right. You had me for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, Hoffman's so big. They had the Eagles. Let's get Billy Joel out there.
Let's go.
But that
yeah.
is so
So,
cool.
yeah, that was really neat. And then Ben, who's the one of the keynote speakers, was diagnosed with autism when he was 2 years old. So he is the face of autism for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I just met him for the first time, like that Thursday night, and he gave me a hug, and I said, Ben, you could do better than that. I said, I got to know you're on the other side of this, and then he gets all excited, and he really gives you a hug. So by the time Friday at the end of the day was over, he was like really giving you a hug, like you knew he was really there. And he wrote a book,
That's awesome.
and he's just a really a great individual. He's 26 years old now, and his mother and his father and his brother, support him on this tour that he does. And when the Eagles won the Super Bowl last time, Ben was the guy that carried the Lombardi Trophy up the steps and past Jeffrey Lurie and went right up to the top. And he talks about how that really impacted him and things like that. So we do a lot. Like, next weekend we got a Mike's Seafood 5K walk run, for autism to raise money. So we're always doing something. We're never letting any grass grow under our feet, and you got to make sure you get rest so you're ready to roll.
Eve, the more that I listen to your story, the more that it makes sense when you talk about showing people that you're passionate, being willing to share the story with those people, and the impact that it has on them. And a little birdie has told me that you have a plan to write a book. And I mean, after hearing this and talking to you and learning about you, I mean, I can't imagine, any better story that I would want to sit down and read other than yours. So what can you tell us about the book that you want to write? What kind of impact do you want it to have on not only the industry, but maybe the world outside of pest control?
Well, I decided that, here I am, a woman being successful in a man's business. And I think other women really need to know that you just don't have to be a salesperson or a technician or customer service rep, that you could be anything you want to be if that's really what you want to do. And I was talking to one of my friends, Laura Fredericks, that wrote the book called The Hard Ask. And she teaches people in this book that you have to ask the question of what it is that you really want. Just like when I went to work and I said, in 2 years, I'm a manager or I'm out. It's a mindset. It's what you want to do. So I want to do this book. And Laura said, Eve, you got to make it funny because, like, you're a fun person. Like, you just can't tell one story or two stories. So I said, okay, so we're going to do this book, and I just want to have an impact not only on women, but on other folks, men or women, young girls. I want to write 2 books, one for little girls and one for whoever wants to read it, to tell them that, life is nothing but a choice, and no is not an option, and you could be anything you want to be. You just got to show up and play and do it. And it's just like Jalen Hurts, the Eagles quarterback, said yesterday. It's like the failures make the great successes because you learn what not to do, but how to do it. And it's just something that I want to do, and I want to try to make an impact and inspire people to do whatever it is that they want to accomplish. So the proceeds to the book is, I'd like to support younger groups such as, possibly the Girl Scouts or the Big Sisters or, organizations that can really make a difference.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's awesome. What a way to give back.
Yeah,
Eve,
100%.
that's huge. That's so great.
Well, and I'm sure that I'm not the first person to tell you this, but even if you never wrote a book, the impact that you've had on the pest control industry is enormous.
Yeah.
All the people that you've coached, the people you've talked to, the people that you've empowered, and the impact that they've had on the industry, it multiplies. So thank you so much for everything that you've done, everything that you've given. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of Eve in the pest control industry and more of what you've already done. We're short on time. If people want to get a hold of you, if they want to reach out, if they have questions, if they want to support you in your journey of writing this book, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, you can either call me. My cell phone is 609-922-8924. That's my cell phone number. Or you can email me at Hoffman's. My email is the letter E, and then it's Pappas, Pappas, at Hoffman, Hoffman, Pest, Pest.com.
Wow.
I look forward to
Eve,
hearing
I just want to
from
let you
you
know,
guys.
little disclaimer, we're not responsible for the increase in
Yeah.
phone call volume and
Yeah, good thing
emails
we're
that
not,
you're
good
about
thing
to
we're not
have.
paying for minutes anymore, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, Eve,
Yeah.
this has been so amazing. Thank you so much for everything that you've done and for being on this podcast. We're going to have you back. And for everybody else that's listening, thank you so much for taking the time to listen in. If you have a boss, if you have a manager or a coworker you think could benefit from listening to this episode, the best way to say thank you to us is to share this episode with them. Of course, this episode is brought to you by Bug Bux Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your company. Visit bugbuxplus.com to sign up and start building today.
And please, please, please hit subscribe.
Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, keep building those pest control companies.
You're listening to the Bug Bux Podcast, hosted by Eric Bassett and Jake Claus.